Got it?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I think so. Do I share live?
Mhm.
Oh, I think we are live. Wait a minute. Being recorded. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we are live and I have to silence
Mhm.
yeah, let me start admitting. You all can begin admitting people.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I think we are live. All right. So at 9:30 we will begin. Hi, Deidre. Hi, Lynn. Hi, ladies. How are you all doing today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank God. Unfortunately, I don't know how to stop. Maybe I can edit and start it at exactly 9:30, but um I'll see if I can go back and edit.
Mhm.
Good morning, Dr. Cody. Good morning, panelists. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New York City Citywide Leadership Team Summit. Glad to see everyone here. Yes, my video's acting up, but we'll work it out. What we'll do while every people are coming in, we'll give you a little entertainment of why we're here for our children, the reason why we gather together to make sure our children have all that they need to be the success they were born to be. They were put here to be. So let me just make sure the sound is being shared.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear?
You're broken down and tired.
Can you hear?
Of living life on a merry-go-round.
Can you hear it?
And you can't find the
Yes, I can hear it.
fire. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for when the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope that we have each other, and that we have each other, and we will rise, and we will rise, oh, we will I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we will rise up, high like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for
Yay, yay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My my video's not working. Virtual background is still loading. Okay. I apologize, everyone. I'm a little thrown off, but I'm going to give the floor to CLT co-developer, I'm sorry, Monique and Lindsay. And Monique, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and take the floor while I pull up our
Yes.
presentation.
So, good morning, everyone. We are so happy that you decided to spend your time with us this morning. There's a lot to talk about. So anyway, I just wanted to say that the CLT is the opportunity for all who are invested in the education of our children, youth, and young adults to be at the welcome table. All as stakeholders play a crucial role in bringing essential value to the whole team. The stakeholders at best will offer collective voices, unique insights, resources, and skills around the citywide comprehension educational plan. So you may be asking yourself, who are the stakeholders? They are parent leaders, parent advocates, all parents, the Department of Education, the United Federation for Teachers, the Council of School Supervisors and Administrators, principals and assistant principals, educators, local, state, and beyond, DC 37 and other unions, New York City Police Department, the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, faith-based and religious organizations, neighborhoods and community organizations, elected officials, New York City taxpayers, which are all of us, and of course, our brilliant students make the table complete. Now, without further ado, I turn it back over to Dr. Cody. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Again, good morning. And I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you so much for joining us again. And thank you for that, Monique. I am one of the CLT Citywide leadership team co-developers. Is three of us, three strong, proud Black women who are all about making sure our children receive the education, quality, high quality education, no opportunities that allows them to be who they were born to be and be successful. With that being said, the New York City public school system is the largest and most diverse school system in the United States of America. And with that said, if you see the leadership structure on your screen, the blue box at the bottom talks about the school level. And every school within the system must have, it's state law, to have a PTA and a school leadership team. And the school leadership team is my favorite entity because it's an opportunity for education stakeholders to sit at the table and engage in shared decision making around what is best for the students in that school. And as co-developer Monique said, you have the unions, educators, parents, but for me, the most important stakeholder at the table are students. As an educator, the best ideas came from students. And then as we move up to the orange box, that's the district and borough-wide level. We have these different parent organizations, community education councils, and the borough high school presidents councils, as well as the district presidents councils, and the Title I at the school level, and then at the district level. And you have your district leadership team. So at the school level and the district level throughout New York City, we have school and district leadership teams for stakeholders to engage in shared decision making. Now, when you go to the green box here, the one on top, you have these various organizations. Again, these are all parent-led organizations: Panel for Education Policy, PEP, Citywide Council on High Schools, English Language Learners, District 75, Special Education, and the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council. There's more to say about these organizations, but we're here to talk about federal education updates. So we're just giving you a synopsis of why the citywide leadership team is needed. As you just seen, as you have just saw, the school leadership team is at the school level, district leadership team is at the district level. And New York City is the only school system in the state and the country that has a third level that is run by a chancellor. And here at this third level, there's no current opportunity for stakeholders to engage in shared decision making. That is why we need a citywide leadership team. Just as the principal has the school leadership team, you see here, the superintendent has the district leadership team, and the chancellor will have the citywide leadership team. As you'll hear later, we need your help in making this to be law, and why it needs to be law. Right now, it is the regulations. It's in the state commissioners, education commissioners regulation, that every public school district throughout the state have an opportunity for stakeholders to engage in a district plan for participation by teachers and parents with administrators and school board members. So it's in the regulations here. And as we said again, New York City is the largest and most diverse school system in the country and in the state, but it's still one district out of 700 some odd public school districts in the state. It's still just one district. Here in the chancellor's regulations, it talks about the central plan again. The last sentence in Article 13 here says the citywide committee that approves the central plan for school-based planning and shared decision-making shall include a senior representative from UFT, the teachers union, CSA, the principals union, and DC 37, the workers union, and representatives designated by the chancellor. This is not happening. And even if this were happening, where's representation of parents and students? So, with that being said, we need our parents and students at the table. I want to say real quick that the school that my daughter graduated from in 2023, we had 100% graduation rate. Why? Because the students, the parents, teachers, the principal had us all engaged in shared decision making at the table. We made sure that the students' voices were heard. And as I said before, the best ideas come from students. We all can have 100% graduation rate. We did it, so we all can have it throughout this state and throughout the country. So here's an accountability checklist here. The school leadership team will submit quarterly reports to the district leadership team. The district leadership team will submit biannual reports to the citywide leadership team, and the previous chancellor of New York City Public Schools, Chancellor David Banks, he heard what we were saying, and one of the things he did do was deliver the first State of the School address in September of 2023. So we're being heard. We're being heard, but now we have to follow through and make sure these bills are passed so that stakeholders have that seat at the table. We come together. People talk about it takes a village. Well, then where is the village at? So with that being said, I will gladly hand this over now. We're going to talk about this more after the federal education update presentation. Going to hand this over to our CLT co-developer, Lorraine Gittens Bridges. And then right after that, we are going to go to our presentation for today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for coming. So let's talk about, you heard Dr. Cody and you heard our other co-developer, Monique, said It takes a village, okay? And you just seen that shared decision making has been in existence in New York State since 1994. However, shared decision making is the law in New York City. In 1996, school leadership teams were mandated through changes in New York State school governance laws. So on the city level, it's a law. These teams are in each and every school, and they require 50% of the membership. The remainder consists of teachers, other school staff, with automatic representation given to the principal, the United Federation of Teachers chapter leader, and the Parent Association president. In addition, students, and here's where we come in, community members may be selected to serve on SLTs. Why? Because community members bring the extra gap that's missing in the school. So among the major responsibilities are developing the school's educational plan, developing the budget to meet the educational goals, communicating these goals to the school community, and evaluating the quality of the school's educational program and its effect on student achievement. Now, you heard our co-developers talking about quality, okay? It's about quality. So, why are school leadership teams important? Every school is different. It is important that the people who make the decisions know, understand, and respect the individual school community and its needs. That's why I also love the school leadership team, okay, because the school leadership team is the needs assessment team. We cannot advocate effectively for our schools if we don't know what they need. Why should you join a school leadership team? Because you want the best education for your children. And it's up to us to take a hands-on role. Why sit on the sidelines with your questions and concerns? Work with other concerned parents, teachers, administrators to not only ask your questions, but come up with the solutions that benefit your school, your district, and eventually your entire system. And that's where we are today with the Citywide leadership team. This is about transforming the entire system. We all see the progress of our children. It must be much better. So it's time for the school leadership team and the district and the citywide leadership team, because once again, we said it takes a village to raise the child. And as one school district, as Dr. Cody said, over 700 and some odd school districts in New York State, we are only one. We're the largest and most diverse, so we need all hands on deck. So we need your help. We'll talk a little bit more about how you can help make the citywide leadership team become New York State education law, just like the school leadership team. Thank you. So let's talk about what we have done so far. Okay, 2 years ago, over a year ago, there was a report. Okay, the state, and I must emphasize, the state went to every borough in the December of 2023. It was December of 2023. Lester Young and the state chancellor and a team of state representatives went to each and every borough in the city of New York. And the question was, why should we keep mayoral control of the schools? So they went to, I just want to remind everybody with the 5 boroughs, they went to Brooklyn, they went to Queens, they went to Staten Island, they went to Manhattan, and they went to the Bronx. Co-developers and I did not speak on the citywide leadership team at all. So they went to everyone. And this is what the report on April 9th, which is there for the entire world to see. The state released this report, and I'm going to say April 9th. They released the report. And what the report said, they want community engagement. Like we said, it takes a village. Empower students, parents, and teachers' expertise in New York City school system. This is not happening now. as much as it should. Shared decision making. Create more avenues for meaningful deliberation and shared decision making. Accountability. Ensure more accountability and transparency with an introduction of stronger principles of checks and balances in the governance system. When we saw this report, we saw right there that these recommendations are exactly what we have in the bills that was introduced almost 4 years ago. So can I have the next slide, please? This is the legislation that we've been advocating for. We always want to thank our sponsors. On the Senate side is New York State Senator James Sanders Jr. And on the Assembly side is Assembly Member Khalil Anderson. When we brought this information about this presentation was, to them over 4 years ago, they immediately understood the need and they introduced the bills for us. And over the years, we've had summits like this. We've even had Andrea Stewart Cousins. We had so many elected officials come on to hear this presentation. So now is the time to get these bills over the finish line, because on April 9th, the state, and I keep emphasizing, the state agreed with exactly what we were saying. So from there, I'm going to end that presentation, and we will talk more about how to get the bills that we just showed you over the finish line. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, CLT co-developer Lorraine, and welcome everyone again. Now we're here. We always, every time we have a summit, which is every other month, we do present what the citywide leadership team is, and we are going to ask for a call to action at the end of the call for everyone to please call your elected officials, your state elected officials. And if you live out of state, we're going to give you that information too. You can call them and say, hey, we need these bills passed right now so that we can have a seat at the table. And $39 billion, the funds go right from central to schools. And we need to have a say. With $39 billion, there are countries that don't even have a $39 billion budget. We need to have a say. We are taxpayers. We are stakeholders. So with that being said, we will be taking questions at the end. And I'm so happy to have my soror, Dr. Courtney, on, as well as LaWanda. They will introduce themselves and share with you the current state of federal education and what we need to do about it. Thank you, ladies, for being here. The floor is yours, Dr. Courtney. Thank you. And LaWanda.
Thank you for the invitation to join you. I'm Dr. Courtney Adogan-Ticey, former senior advisor at the Department of Education. I'm joined by my colleague and co-presenter, LaWanda Toney, who Dr. Cody just introduced. She is the former deputy chief of staff at the U.S. Department of Education. And today we have the privilege of sharing some federal updates, why communication about these decisions are important, and some strategies you can employ for sharing what's happening right now. So we've seen a lot of these 100-day recaps, right, on the news, what's happened over the last several months. And many of them incorporate the whole slew of what's happening across the administration. But we want to focus today specifically on what's happening in education. And we also have a few more recent updates because somebody has been busy the last 114 days, and administration has been busy, especially in terms of what's happening in education in the last 114 days. So I'll provide a quick update, a recap of some of what's happened, the funding cuts, the halts, what you've seen, what you've heard. But before I do, one of the things that I realized during one of my last facilitation sessions with a different group is that, there was some necessary level setting that could be done related to the work of the Department of Education and exactly what we do. or what we did and what our traditional role was. And that's important because the traditional role is morphing into something that we've never seen before, right? So what you see now on the screen here are just a few of the ways that we have supported local education by providing substantial funding, as you know, to schools, colleges, and universities. Investing in the high need educational areas. We know that there was $2 billion for mental health services that the last administration provided, unprecedented funds going towards COVID relief that happened by way of ARP funds, and that gave way to a number of things like after school programming, teacher prep, so on and so forth. We also know that it directly distributes our financial aid. It protected students from discrimination in K through 12 and higher education through our Office for Civil Rights. It ensured that there was equitable access to educational opportunities with our students with disabilities and our English language learners and any other high need or student that needed support. Generated research and statistics, national research and statistics, which you know is incredibly important in terms of seeing what the national landscape is. And then I don't need to tell you the ways in which the federal government, federal education system was designed to really help states, districts, and schools improve student outcomes and close gaps in student achievement, not just by way of funding, but by way of over 100 plus technical assistance centers that the department funded and regional centers. So that's what the Department of Education did. And as you could probably tell and what you know in the media is that there have been a number of ways over the last several months that some of the traditional roles, responsibilities of the Department of Education have stopped. And in January, we saw a slew, and let me not say stopped, it's been halted, put on pause, and in some places stopped, right? So in January, we saw a slew of executive orders, one of which that directly impacted a team that I worked very closely with as the deputy director, was halting the White House initiatives, which gave direct support to Black students, families, and communities. The same thing happened with our White House initiative for Hispanic Americans. So I share this to say that the slew of executive orders was cross-cutting. That's January. In February, the Department of Education announced that it had cut $600 million in teacher training funds. And that was through the Teacher Quality Partnership and SEED grants, because they found that the grants promoted what it called divisive ideologies, including DEI, as you all know. 8 states sued, thankfully, New York was among them. And most recently, the Supreme Court sided with the current administration on that. And I'm going to give you all a couple numbers and timelines, in part because I hope these are things that you are aware of, and because these are all things that directly impact New York City. Federal mandates, federal halts of funding, rescinding of funds that all affect what is happening currently and happening in New York. So that was February that we saw the teacher quality grants rescinded. In March, the department abruptly halted COVID relief money, which you all probably heard of, because they decided not to honor the March 2026 deadline. So there, as you all recall, there was a great investment, unprecedented investment in COVID relief, and it meant many things to many states. But to put it into context for New York alone lost access to $134 million, which was used for various school improvement services. And so I want to pause there just very quickly. And if you could put in the chat if you were aware of some of these federal updates coming down the pike, if you have seen or been directly impacted by them thus far. So I see that Adrian, okay, has a check. Yes, aware, not directly impacted yet. Leona. It's helpful because, again, yes, aware, no, unfortunately. Thank you, Rashida. I appreciate that. The funding reductions. And I'm going to tell you all about a couple more because, I just stopped with March, but April was a busy month too. So again, what I have learned is that we've come at this, all of us in this room are tied to education and, are educators. And so I say that because we've come at this from different angles and we may or may not be aware of just exactly what's happening. Part of what LaWanda will also talk about is communication strategies, why the message is important. And so this piece of it is sharing with you what the message is and making sure that you are at least aware of some of it. And Lynn, able to maybe dig a little deeper. This is just scratching the surface. So as I shared in March, the department halted the COVID relief money. New York had the kind of loss in access. Much of that money was already allocated to certain services. So this was money, again, that states expected to have, your state, your district expected to have through March 2026. So there's a lot at stake. Let's go to now April. The Education Department ordered states to certify compliance with federal civil rights law, rejecting what it termed as illegal DEI practices. So you all may have been affected by this in ways where you saw a new certification process. States like Minnesota and New York, you all refused to comply, arguing that essentially the administration was overstepping its authority. Some other states, though, just for national context, like Virginia and Arizona, they actually are complying with the order. So some states have decided that they can no longer and will no longer have a Black History Month as an example, because they are nervous about losing federal funding as a result of some of these efforts. So this is just the landscape. You all know New York has been a leader in this work in terms of holding on to the power. And I hope you also recognize what that means. It's meaning a lot for other states and you all taking a leadership role, but there are some implications and ways in which we can see how the current administration is responding to states who've decided to do so. So the DEI compliance form that people needed to check off, or else, there was a threat of losing federal funding. That happened in April. And then later on in April, earlier this month, meaning late April, early May, the department decided to send out a letter saying that they were going to halt the renewal of $1 billion in mental health grants. How many people used or are aware of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act funding that came down the pike to train and hire mental health professionals? Okay. So Leona did. So it was $2 billion that was granted to do just that. And one of the ways in which it was incredibly important is that we know that it was a response to Uvalde. And we recognize that post-COVID, it was especially important for students to have access to mental health supports. I don't need to tell you all that. And so in response, the last administration, the Biden administration did, and this is not to be an advocate of the administration, it's simply to tell you all factually what happened and the reasons why funding was allocated to certain priorities. It was in order to make sure that students had the mental health supports that they needed, recognizing there were a dearth of counselors in school buildings, and especially in high needs areas, and to make sure that they were trained in ways that supported a diverse mental health pool of clinicians. Well, as you may or may not know, because the department halted the renewal of the $1 billion in the mental health grants, it will affect several states. The state education agencies in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin were among the grantees that lost their funding. But also San Diego's Office of Education, Lincoln Public Schools in Nebraska, and this is providing the national context, and the Teachers College at Columbia University, which was supporting efforts in New York City schools, also lost their funding. How many people were aware? Type in the chat box if you were aware of the funding that was lost directly from the Teachers College at Columbia. Thank you, Rosa. Okay. So Adrian, looks like Adrian was aware, Lynn was not aware, Rashida, yes, was aware. Okay. And so for those folks who were not aware, the application and what the Teachers College planned to do was to focus on high needs areas, specifically in Harlem and East Harlem. And they were in process of training bilingual or first generation college students to offer free services like therapy and parent training, which are now unavailable due to the funding loss. So that was a loss of $4.9 million that was supposed to be provided over a 5-year period. So I share that as an example of kind of these long-standing, these waves that will happen and continue to have an impact, not just this year, but in the funding that was set to be deployed in future years as well. But I'm not here to give all doom and gloom. This is just some level setting of what has happened thus far in some of the funding cuts. I'm gonna now introduce or reintroduce my colleague, LaWanda Toney, to discuss what we can do and some communication strategies that can support not only sharing the message, but making sure that we have the message to share. LaWanda, handing it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Courtney. Thank you so much for having us here. As Courtney mentioned, all the information or things that have happened during the first part of this administration. And now we want to talk about what do we do with that information and talk about why communication matters in this. And you don't have to be a communication expert to be able to effectively communicate what you're hearing and what you're seeing on the ground. So let's talk first about why communication is so important. First, many people don't realize how these policy changes can affect their local schools, their teachers, or their kids. Secondly, misinformation spreads very quickly, whether online or at a community level. So we need to be able to communicate clearly and proactively. We need to correct false narratives. We need to be able to raise awareness and empower families and educators to engage meaningfully. Without clear communication, many will remain unaware or misinformed. So it is our job as leaders or representatives of our community to find ways to communicate as clearly as we can. Then we should talk about some of the best communication strategies. One of the best ways to communicate is about these changes is to simplify the language. A lot of people don't understand the policy jargon, so we should leave that out as we're communicating in our community. We want to be able to translate it in a plain and accessible terms. Also use visuals. Think about some infographics or short videos to simply explain what's happening. Be strategic about what channels you use, like meet people where they already are. It could be a school email list. It could be a newsletter, information that you can share with your faith community, your neighborhood groups, or your PTAs. And they're just looking for someone to help personalize the information. So I think that that's some of the ways to be able to communicate a lot of this, because a part of it is it's so dense and can be so complex. Sometimes people ignore it because they just don't understand it. So finding ways to be able to put it in plain language, but also accessible and meeting people where they're already receiving information. The next thing we need to do is talk about how we build coalitions. You don't want to fight this alone. You want to be able to coordinate with PTAs, with unions, with faith groups, with local nonprofits to align on messaging. As I mentioned before, when we talked about the communication strategies, create templates, sample letters, because you want a unified voice. Partnering with other groups, because the louder and more coordinated the message, the harder it is for decision makers to ignore. Next, we want to talk about storytelling and data. So as you know, as you consume information, what compels you to continue to read something? It's how stories move hearts and how data moves decisions. For maximum impact, pair those things together. Share stories about how students or teachers or parents or families are affected by these changes. For example, maybe a teacher who lost a DEI program, or a student who was silenced in their class, or a book that was taken out of the library. Support those stories with the data. How many students are impacted? How much funding is at risk? Or before and after comparisons, use before and after comparisons to show losses. This combination of data and story builds emotional connection and also credibility. And then we'd want to talk about, who do we contact? And here on this slide, I show a little bit about each group and what you want to communicate to them. So advocacy needs targets. So what I recommend is starting local. You can contact your school board to pass resolutions or to refuse to comply with harmful mandates. You can go to your state legislators to push for counter legislation. You can advocate to your governor or state education agency to issue state level guidance that counters federal directives. And don't forget about your federal representatives. They can push oversight or legal remedies. And working with your civil rights groups for litigation support, your teacher unions for mobilization, and with the media for visibility. Each of these groups play a role in you pushing back and advocating for what you need in your community. So as we close, I just want you to think about these three principles about how do we make it local, how do we make it visible, and how do we make it actionable. Focus on what's happening in your community. Get the message out where people can see it, and always offer clear steps people can take, whether it's signing a petition, attending a meeting, or simply making a call. Together, we can protect our schools and our communities. And it starts with, how do we communicate what's really happening? Courtney, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Lawanza. I really appreciate the actionable strategies, making sure we don't stay in the doom and gloom of what's happening. I would, Dr. Cody and CLT team, just ask, do we have time to take questions?
Yes, we do. Actually, we're ahead of time. And I know you said it, but I do want to emphasize, I apologize. There's so much technical stuff going on in the background. I wanted to emphasize and highlight Dr. Courtney is the former deputy director of the White House Initiative on Black Excellence. That's the short title. It's a long title of empowerment and excellence that President Biden signed an executive law order in October of 2021. So we had this, and this is what I mean by reparations and what's available for us in our communities, is that the word doesn't get out the way we would like for it to get out. But bringing this forward, I know Dr. Courtney and the director, Alexis. Why am I forgetting Alexis' last name? I'm forgetting her last name. Well, they went around the entire country, different areas, and presenting this information and letting people know what was available for our schools, as was shared in the beginning. Well, bringing us to here and right now on the action plans, you see the citywide leadership team. We need this constantly, as LaWanda was talking about, as far as what we can do now, work together and make sure that the village is coming together to hear our voices and take care of each other. So yes, you have time for questions, you have time for discussion and action plan.
Okay. Well, happy to take questions, and I just want to raise in the room, our executive director, former executive director is Alexis K. Holmes, who led the White House Initiative for Black Americans, and it did have an educational excellence equity portion. As Dr. Cody shared, it was signed as an executive order, reestablished by let me go back. It was established by former President Barack Obama, reestablished by President Biden, and it was rescinded by the current administration, just to tell the full truth. And part of the work was making sure that the community was aware of all of the different federal mandates, things that were happening in terms of educational excellence and economic opportunities, specifically for Black Americans. I think at this point, there is a bit of a gap in that. And so that's one of the reasons why myself, my colleagues like LaWanda and others are having conversations with the community. And so thankful for having opportunities like this and being invited so that we can keep the work going and just keep the message out there.
Yes, you can raise your hands or put your question in the chat, whatever moves you. And LaWanda, there was information you shared about us coming together, and I want to throw in there, because the citywide leadership team, we do go around and we share with folks how to engage your community to gain additional resources and funding right in your community. We do encourage churches as well as businesses to adopt schools, adopt your local schools. So as you had shared, folk going out in your communities, um, other businesses and churches and local organizations can also partner to come in and say, hey, what do you need? What do you want? How can we help? How can we come together? So it's a full circle thing. But what I want to know from you ladies is, while we wait on folks to gather their questions, is there specific information coming from our previous Secretary Cardona in terms of protecting ourselves against these attacks? Is there anything that we should know what he's doing, and if there are efforts that we can join on a national level?
Yeah, that's a great question. Secretary Cardona is still very much a part of the community, and he is traveling across the country, speaking on how to work through what's happening. So he has been invited to a number of different groups and organizations to share and to do just what we talked about, being able to help people understand what's happening and what to do with that information. I think if you, and I'll try to find his social channels, you'll be able to see kind of what he's working on and the work that he's doing, along with all our former colleagues, assistant secretaries, um, uh, Deputy Secretary Cindy Martin, now in Delaware. Folks are still working. They're still trying, and because they know that people need support, especially states as things have kind of changed so dramatically, and how do we help to navigate those waters? So definitely follow Secretary Cardona on his personal social media channels, and I'll try to find out more information about like where he'll be, and maybe he'll be coming to New York soon. I'm not really sure of his schedule, but I know that he is very active. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and still figuring out ways how best to serve and navigate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That helps. That works. Yes, Deidre, I see your question, and it's recording on YouTube. So we're gonna share out that channel because I know sometimes the Zoom links doesn't let you see. So it's the wrong YouTube channel. Unfortunately, that's the technical difficulty that's been happening, but I did try to send out the correct YouTube channel. But it's recording on YouTube, and we'll share that out as well. I would like anybody to answer this question because I need a little help on trying to figure out why it feels like, um, why does it feel like folk do not put our children first? Is a lot of mouthing our children first, and it takes a village. It's a lot of wording and verbiage and people saying these things, but the actions are not matching um, what is happening. And education is the front line of anything you need to do as far as progression and being progressive is concerned. So if someone can help me understand, why do people say children first, but the actions don't match it?
Before that's it, I believe Yolanda had a question
Oh, I'm
before you.
sorry. Okay.
Yolanda, you had a question?
I did. Hi, good morning, everyone. I put it in the
Hi.
chat and I'll just read what I wrote. I really wanted to know if there's any other kind of education related surprises that are coming that we haven't heard yet, and anything additional that we are not really expecting.
And so everyone knows Yolanda is our budget guru. When it comes down to the education budget, that's our go-to person, Yolanda Smith.
Hi, Yolanda. That's a great question. With this, what I'm noticing with the current administration is that um, there is no ramp up. It just becomes you get an email or a notification of something that's happening on a Friday night. Um, and so, what I would say, I think, I'm not sure if Dr. Courtney covered this or not. So, Courtney, I apologize. One part of things that I'm not sure people are realizing is about federal student aid and student loans, and that they are going back to um, trying to make sure that people are paying their student loans, and having some additional consequences if you're not. So I think that's one that we may not have covered, but I know that has been a lot of conversation around that. During our administration where we worked, we were talking about how to make student loans more affordable for people, making sure that we're forgiving loans for people who can't afford it at the time and making it easier. And I think this is one of the other things that are happening around the dismantle, how they're dismantling some of the things that we worked on during our administration. Courtney, do you have anything additional there?
I'm glad that you added that. And I would say, in terms of gotchas, I wouldn't call this a gotcha, what I'm about to say next. I wouldn't call it a gotcha, but I think it is something that we could go back and reference. You know, all of this was in Project 2025, and I know it was a long document, but I find myself even going back to see what was in that document and what the plan was. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be saying this, right? Because y'all are streaming. So this is maybe not the politically correct response, but this is my response and my opinion and what I do in terms of reading the tea leaves. The gotchas are there. I go back to other historic documents to see what exactly was said, when it was said. I also look at the tea leaves of what's already been done. Meaning we have talked, I want to say like in a nebulous fashion about DEI and what those kind of movements and those things that are associated with affirmative action, what those movements are. But I think it would behoove us to apply it to all factions, all the little pieces in support of federal funds that could be implicated as a result. So, for example, I talked about the BISCA funds. Well, that was one of the things that they cited. They said that this was associated with affirmative action by way of wanting to diversify the mental health professionals that receive the grants. So you might consider, well, what's next? What else could they apply this to in terms of federal funds that could have the same application? So short answer here are the gotchas that may be coming down the pike are some where we can really read the tea leaves of and read the signs as to what they've already provided and shared with us that is in their plan.
Thank you both for your answers. That definitely says a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me frame my question a little better. Before this meeting began, we were having, side conversation. I will quote my mom. She would say, our community is speaking about the Black community. There are a lot of things that we establish and built amongst one another before desegregation, like HBCUs and banks and communities, the Wall Streets, and so much that we've had when we have to rely on one another. And and I'm going to quote or just paraphrase something co-developer Lorraine said about not being afraid so much of this administration, but just being fearful of what we ourselves will or will not do. So with that mindset of knowing that we can do what we need to do to make sure our students, our children have what they need to be the success they were born to be. My question is, where are we? Where are we in terms of stepping up and doing what we have to do for our own and our own communities? Like maybe this morning, a lot of people have different work or what have you, but we've been having these summits for some time now. And sometimes we, have over 50 people on the line or whatnot, and giving it, putting it on YouTube live channel for people to just watch and see. Where are we? What's going on? Anybody can answer this. What is your community looking like in terms of helping out your schools and your districts? Is it a lot of apathy going on? Uh, what can we do to implement the advice that was shared by Lawanda and um, use the information that was presented by Dr. Courtney? What can we do now going forward in making sure that we come together and unite and do what we need to do to make sure education is what it needs to be?
Don't all answer at one time.
So, good morning. It's Adrian Straker. How is everyone? And I thank the
Hi,
presenter.
Sora.
Hi, Sora. How's everyone?
Good,
So
good.
I really appreciate the information that's shared because all politics is local. While this feels so overwhelming and impactful and just incredibly stinging, it was something, to Dr. Courtney's point, that was literally predicted by the Heritage document in Project 2025. And we were urged for the past 5 to 6 years to pay attention to that document. It was shared and hopefully dissected by many entities, education, government, political advocacy groups, to, literally pay attention to the impact that that document would have on us economically, education, our development landscape, our infrastructure landscapes, to really pay attention to what entities and institutions that document wanted to dismantle. But to that point, there are equal and opposite entities, local government entities, that I think our communities are laser focused on holding accountable, that we are all taxpayers and we are not sitting here as victims, but I think we are becoming more astute, almost as astute as my grandparents and great parents were, to the point of activism, and not just one form of activism, but several layers and levels of activism, and using that to make our point that there's a state, there's a city, and there's a federal government, and to move them to action items, and not just holding up a placard saying you lie in the House of Congress, because that's not getting us anywhere. That's not moving the needle 1 point, but to holding them to some more actionable accountability, where they're moving and gaining a larger group to support a bill, not moving, or to coming back and saying to us, we're your constituents, we don't want you to vote that way. And we're calling your office, we're writing your office, we're emailing your office. We are working strategically to make sure that we can move the needles to where we need them to be, even though we understand that the education department is dismantled. Okay, fine, we see what that's done. Now we know what we need to do on a local level to make sure that we have the mental health services that we need, that we get funding, that our foundation aid formula is what we need it to be on the state and city level, so that our students can have class size reduction, that we can get the services that we need. I think we've become smarter in terms of, they were handling everything for us. Well, that left us where we are right now. We trusted, trust is broken. Let's go back to the way we used to do things. So I think it's pushed us back into us being more hands-on with our community services and our community needs, and understanding that information and knowledge is power. And how you digest it just depends on your level of sophistication. Some people can digest an Excel sheet, and some people need it in less digestible graphics. And we can do that. We can present it how you need it. But what we need is for you to be on the phone or on your email and letting the electeds know what their constituents need and how to deliver it. And I think that's what has changed, that people are now back in that mindset and that mode. I did just want to share that piece.
Thank you very much. Yep, I agree. I guess in short is uh use what we got right in front of us. Use what we got, which really turns us back right back to pushing the CLT and making sure these bills pass so that um we can use what we have and work with city and state to make sure our schools have what they need. And the CLT can be modeled. It's a model for other areas, a county leadership team, wherever you are, a citywide leadership team. We've had people from other states, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois. We have people from other places saying, well, how can we start a CLT? We need that here. We need our people, stakeholders to come together. I said, well, help us get our bills passed and then we can come and share and help everyone get that started. But help us get these bills passed and then we can go around and help others start their own county-wide leadership team or citywide leadership team or whichever they want to call it to make sure stakeholders, especially students and parents, are at the table helping with the decision making and get what we need to get. So thank you very much for that, Adrian. I do want to throw out there too that um there was somewhere on Instagram, um, a, a white person was saying, "Get out the cult," talking about the this current administration, telling people get out the cult. But I tell you, Black folks who are still for this administration, I think if they're not come face to face with the bigotry now, especially with accepting white South African refugees in and turning away every all other refugees that are not white. If that is not the most blatant act of bigotry right there, there's nothing else that's going to turn folks to wake them up. So I do say it's a cult, and it makes us lean on each other even more and moving forward and what we have to do even more and coming together in these spaces
And,
and sharing information. Go ahead, Lorraine.
and that's why to me this is so very important. When Dr. Cody and Monique approached me about this, almost 5 years ago, I've never left because as a beneficiary of the civil rights movement, okay, it is now our responsibility. And that's why, the activism, thank y'all for the presentation because we will bump up everything with the communication to another level because there's nothing more left. Everybody now should be able to see, but like we have to make it as clear as possible in various languages so people get the word out because there's no reason after April 9th that we are still sitting here trying to get these bills over the finish line. We have to get on the ground, which we are. We're going to take it to another level, because, you know, we're, everything is there to see the importance of unity. When you come together, we're clear and the impact. See, that impact, showing examples of the impact, you know, is very important. Right now, we could go into the data as to how our children fare. Okay, right now you don't hear anybody really talking about the people on the local levels. You don't really hear anyone talking about education. They're talking about everything else, but they're not talking about education. That's about to change. We have
Yes.
to get these bills over the finish line in this session, not down the road, in this session. So we will be talking, those who have an opportunity we are asking for volunteers to help us on the advocacy task force to help get these bills over the finish line, which we will be implementing or gathering people together effective tomorrow. So those of you who may be interested, please let us know. You can put your name in the chat and we will put together the outreach and get these bills over the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
just
much.
wanted to
Yeah.
encourage one other strategy. I know that I think it was the other presenter. I'm sorry, I'm looking for your name on the
Yeah, I did want to say thank you, Dr. Courtney. Please thank LaWanda. I know she had to
Alana.
jump off
Oh, they jumped off.
for a 10:30, but please thank her.
Yes.
And
Is
Dr.
there a
Courtney's
way,
gonna stay
I
with
just had
us.
a quick question. Is there a way, I know you do the Tuesday trips up to Albany, but I know the bill authors, the bill co-signers, is there possibly a call day where we can call the state assembly and state senator's office and have perhaps 3 sentence talking points just to encourage the signing of the bill. And if it's, 2 days out of the month, 2 hours out of the month, just to have 10 people that have signed up to make those calls. Because in my experience and in my opinion, I find that even when you're doing those day trips up, the consistency of making those calls to their office, it tends to track better just in terms of advocacy. It tracks longer over time and they collect that call data in a different manner. So it might be helpful to include just a line for that call data to make those
That's
calls.
the
That's what
call
we
to
go.
action that
That
Lorraine is going to lead. So I did put our email in the chat. I'll put it again if you all want to join the call to action. But yes, thank you very much for that, Adrian. Lorraine is going to lead that out for the rest of this week. We're going to design for everyone to help us make some calls.
and emails and text messages, whatever we have to do, wherever we have to go, because there's a lot of forums going on. There's a lot of things happening in our communities. And now we don't have the excuse, because the last excuse we had, oh, they're working on the budget. That's done now. So, we could plow forward without any excuses. Thank you.
Indeed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask Adrian if you can give a closing word, and then we're going to close out. But if you all want to stay on and chit chat some more about how we, um, lean into this call to action, please stay on. But I'm going to ask Adrienne if she would give a closing word, and then we can close out, and then I'm going to stop the all of the recordings. Adrienne, would you?
It is an honor to be in community with the Citywide leadership team, the founders, and I'm just encouraged by your tenacity, which, a lot of people think could be a negative, but it is a positive in the current environment. And I've been around you for, I'm going to say close to 5 years, and I'm just encouraged by the group of people, men and women, that have been supportive, and I'm encouraged moving forward to see this raise this banner as a bill, as an approved bill moving into policy. So I'm encouraged right now, and I wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Applaud, applaud, applaud. Thank you. I'm going to stop all recordings.
We're looking forward to our next steps. What do we do next? That's what we're waiting for, our marching orders.
So, anyone who signs up, um, tomorrow I'm starting kind of today from here, and we're building together a list of people who's going to make some calls, emails, text messages, so the next few days we will be putting that coalition together, and we will begin this week, because the end of this week, because we don't have to wait until Monday. You Like you said, we could send emails, we can make calls on the weekends. A lot of people, they're busy during the week. We can get people to, make those calls and get the word out, because we can't, It's like we have to do everything we have to do because I don't even want to get into anything else about the mayoral races because I'm not gonna say anything. We'll be working on this as of tomorrow. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my video today, but everything's for a reason. Yeah, everything is for a reason. Don't know. But yeah, any other comments or something folks would like to share?
So look to hear from me between Wednesday and Thursday at the latest. Okay.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you. Thank you all. I do not know what happened to my video, but we had our meeting.
But
We had,
Thank
oh,
you.
Rocio. Hi, Rosie. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. Happy belated Mother's Day.
Thank you. Same to you, right?
Thank
Happy
you.
belated Mother's Day to
Thank you.
everyone. Yes. Rosie, I want to be in touch with you. I'm going to reach out. We need help with getting a location for our legislative conference in
Oh,
November. So we want to hold the
perfect.
next one in Bronx.
Okay, yeah, no, I have a perfect place. We could use the recreation center by the Williams Oval. That's between Bainbridge and Reservoir Avenue. I can speak to the director. She's more than happy to have any conference in there.
Oh, great. Is
We
that
can
near the
have it
train?
outdoors, indoors. I'm sorry?
Is it near the train?
It is. It's the last stop of the D train, and it's also close to the Montefiore Hospital, Children's Hospital as well. So
Okay.
it's a
You
great
said D is
location.
in David?
DS and David, yes.
Okay, great. Great. I'm near the D train. And who is the because we wanted to try to get into the speakers district.
Okay, so what I will do is I have your email, Dr. Cody. I'll
Right.
send you an email and connect you with the manager in charge, and that way you guys can coordinate and move forward with the plan.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, text me the address so I can look up to see who's the legislators over it.
Yes, yes. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very good for you. So I'll send you all that information.
Yay. Ask and he shall
Thank
receive,
you. And
right?
you said the name of the recreation center again is what's the name?
It's called Williams Oval Recreation with the New York City Parks,
Spell
and
the
they can
last
do.
one.
It's called the Williams Oval Recreation Center. Um,
OGLE.
I'll put the information in the chat. It's with the New
Okay.
York City Parks, and they can do the license if you need to do it outdoors with certain amount of people, and if you need to do it inside as well. Like I said, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you, Rosie. And thank you all, everyone,
Sure.
for joining us. And um hi, Elise, our sister.
Is that Elise?
Yep.
Yes.
I was wondering where's Elise.
I
Well,
just,
I know she's in California time.
right. It's right. It's really early for me. I just want to just jump in and say I love you guys. I love the work that you have done. I've been grinding with you all these years,
Yes, yes,
as
Yep.
that
indeed.
long distance partner, but I can do calls, I can do emails, and I can do texts if you need that. So add me to that list.
Oh, of course.
Definitely.
Oh,
Definitely.
oh, of
Thank you.
course. I said my sister has been helping me since we done started when our kids were what little, you know. So, she used to help me with the President's Council. Oh my goodness. Great to have a sister like Elise.
And happy belated Mother's Day. And we are always grinding with that love of a mother. That's why we're here. And that's why we'll continue. I was so disheartened to see all the stuff that's, really been affected because people really don't understand the depth and the level. So I think that is very important that the heart-to-heart talks we have with our friends, family, and neighbors to let them know that it's not just what you hear on TV, the trickle-down effect into the community. And so I think it's really important on the community level that people are having a conversation. So that's just my take. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, because with the SLTs not functioning,
Yeah.
we are not getting a good barometer of how our students are being impacted. Okay. And that's why the citywide leadership team is so important because we can go in. We really don't have a mechanism to really go in and ask. Okay. DLTs are struggling too. A lot of people don't realize the DLTs are struggling just as much as the school leadership teams are struggling. With the citywide leadership team, it's like we always have to remind everybody, it's not a top-down approach, it's a bottom-up approach. It's that hand. How can we help? What do you need? And as with the power of the entire city of New York, no school should be left behind. And we really believe that New York City could be the best public school system in the world. That's what we believe.
And you just said a key word. It speaks to the system and up, the top down, bottom up
Mm-hmm.
organizational structure and how it becomes dismantling when you don't have a universal tie, right? You have this
Mm-hmm.
chancellor that's all powerful. That's the structure they want. The chancellor's all powerful, and there's no reciprocal relationship. There's no reciprocal accountability other than the chancellor can fire who they want to whenever they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. That they make sure that superintendents sign, and that's what they can do, but there's no reverse responsibility. There's no connection. The DLT exists, woohoo, that exists. SLT exists, woohoo, but the ties stop there. There's nothing connecting. So everybody's out there operating like their own little country. Once they get their budgets, bye bye. And how many parents even see or even know what's going on in Galaxy or even understand what, who, how do they move that money? How did that get paid for? Why don't we have money to pay for this? Come on.
I think
And,
linkage is,
and
is important. It's important.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And structurally, I think one of the reasons things get disconnected is because people don't see the physical linkage. Okay,
Right.
so just going back to my military experience back in the day,
Mm.
we used to have organizational charts.
Big
Okay, so
system.
that kind of went
Right.
away, that kind of ideology. But people need the visual connectivity
Right.
on how they fit. And I believe that one of the reasons that the CLT has had this issue of getting these bills passed is because all the entities that need to support it don't see clearly where they're linked together and see the beneficial power of the whole. And this is very frightening to me as a 24-year Air Force veteran,
Mm.
because one of the key things that I learned back in the day throughout my career is that the greatest threat to our democracy is apathy. I'm seeing it in real time. I am frightened after nearly 50 years of serving this country to
Mm.
see us in this particular situation. But, and it is not hopeless. It is not over. We
Right.
are in the position of power to overturn what they are putting down on us. But we really have to have this messaging and this clear connectivity to every person who reads whatever you have to put out there, sees themselves as
Yes.
part of that. And and it's really it's like becomes a heart to heart battle. How can we touch another person's heart enough for them to take some kind of action? So that's why I said I'm way over here, Merced. It's like
but I know you're
eight
gonna help
o'clock,
me.
but
But that you make a perfect point because the structure, the framework, the connectivity, even if you're not a parent, you're a community member, you're still
Hmm.
fully engaged in education and education structures. And
exactly
that framework, that organizational structure shows those connections
right.
and it
And that
shows.
and that's why April 9th was will always be a birthday for me,
Absolutely.
because after all the years of, our own parent leaders at times, a few handful that, was pushing back on everything, but not showing any measurable outcomes. You're pushing back, but nobody's saying, well, what's your solution? Or they just know because we get caught up in New York City too much on personalities before progress. They put a personality before progress in a minute. And we have to reverse that. We have to put progress before personality, and make sure that we're defining what excellence looks like. Okay, what quality looks like.
The
And that's
structure is the key.
yeah,
It's the key to shared decision
the
making
shared decision making.
over school governance. They
Exactly.
just want to hold all the locks and keys to school governance. That's
Yeah.
what was traditionally done, and we weren't a part of it. We just had to deal with the results of all the decisions that were made. That's not the ideal way.
Nope.
We've moved on to that shared decision making, and this is
And
the ideal structure.
yep, and the city of New York agreed with us on April 9th. I had tears coming out my eyes when the report came out. I had tears. Because I said, somebody got it. Okay, the state got it. Okay, they knew we was right all along, but now they had the proof to show shared, because it's a state mandate. It's in the state regulation, shared decision making 1994. It was there. Okay, so everybody else came out and said, the whole city of New York. That's why I kept saying in the presentation. They went to each and every borough. I made it clear that we did not testify. The people did. And that's why I'm not afraid of Trump. Okay. I'm afraid of us. But I'm not afraid because we're going to do what we have to do. I believe so much in people power as the beneficiary, as we all are the beneficiaries of movements.
Right.
So
Data don't lie. You went out, you did the work, you got the responses.
and now we're
That's
going to
it.
continue on and take it to another level.
Well, I appreciate being here. I have hit my 10:58 time limit.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Take care. Be well, everyone.
All
You
right.
too, and thanks so much.
You too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support. Thank you.
Bye,
Hi, Chaplain. How you doing? We're done. It's over.
Hey, I'm sorry. I just got out from teaching. I'm here
But you
teaching.
came.
Yeah.
But you came. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Wow, Susan, how you
thank
doing?
you. I'm blessed and highly favored, and so are you. I literally ran down as soon as I could.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes, this to be your God.
educators in the house. Educators in the house. Yeah.
Educators
Amen.
continue always to educate. Educators are the best resource we have for our humanity. I love them so much. Anytime I meet somebody, I'm trying to make a partnership because this is what we need. So thank you.
Well, in
Thank you.
this school, I teach SETS, which is special ed teacher support
Oh,
services,
wow.
special education, to elementary school students. So that's what I do.
Oh,
Wonderful.
that's beautiful.
Thank you
You're
so very
you're doing
much.
God's work. We
Got it.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Thank
educators changed my whole life. It's that educated. When we talk about it takes a village to raise a child, me and my sister could talk about the fact that our mother went down early, and it was the school and the community that saved us. So you have to have
Yeah.
some of those pillars moving. Some of those pillars got to move. You got three pillars. Like I tell people all the time, we don't have control of what goes on in a person's home. We have no control over that. But we have control over two of the three pillars. Okay. We just got to hope that they get the child to the school safely and get them back, home safely. We have control of the community based programs that we have that we can create. And if we don't have, we can create. That's what a citywide leadership team will do. We will be able to know what type of programming to create for the times that we live in today. So that's I love the work, and I love you for being a part. For all that you do. To me, other than the veterans, the educators are the next heroes for me. It's the veterans and the educators. Y'all are the heroes. So thank you for your service.
Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for everybody.
And we got
everything
two of
you
them.
do. Yeah.
We got the veteran and we got the
The
educator, both
educators.
at the same time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Monique, you gonna be all right, sis?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for hopping on.
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah, we were
Have a good
concerned,
day.
so we gotta share those numbers. Yeah, so I will be in touch with everyone because I want everyone to come out and help celebrate Cody Cares and do whatever you can in efforts of us building the first youth depot. So this is our CLT summer efforts.
Yeah. Well, great work, Dr. Cody, as usual. I always like to hear you talking. You're always so interesting. Monique's always like, chilled. And then you got Lorraine piping in with her. So y'all are a great team. I mean, I have so much love and respect for you guys. Please keep my sister safe,
Right, indeed.
Just take care of her for me. And y'all all good. Always in my prayers.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Elise. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you all, ladies. Monique, before this week is out,
I'm out.
let's talk, ladies, okay?
We're
Because
gonna talk tomorrow because I gotta put
oh
that
yeah, tomorrow because we got to get the thing together. So I am
get the
available tomorrow. Not available on Thursday.
I'm not going to be available on Thursday either. That's why I'm
Right.
trying to work between tonight and tomorrow to put the structure together and start
Yeah.
reaching out to people to, give them, suggested assignments. Okay. Because some people may want to call, some people may want to send email. We're going to, put that together and have a process to where we're checking on them. Did you do, so, like I said, I have meetings tonight, and I'm going to be, moving forward, with
And
that.
I'll
'Cause-
look for the old call to action, send it so that we don't have to really reinvent the
no,
wheel.
you're
We can
talking
make it.
about this. You're talking about this letter.
Can't see it. Put it up to your video.
I could put it in the chat, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But we need something also. We have that. We have. We need. But she said something that was very critical as well. Something in addition to this, like for instance, there's going to be rallies and stuff this weekend. A sign or something that is very simple that we can get people's attention. So it's
I
that
think
in
I
addition.
think we just need to not revive, but really big up. We are all accountable.
We are, you
We
know,
are all accountable.
we are all accountable. And like you said, I agree. We are all accountable because the bottom line is state law. It's not excluding anyone. It's inclusive.
Hmm.
Okay. So, but I'm going
But
to send.
when you still have the people that just don't understand, or the people that just don't want to hop on for whatever political reasons, they cannot deny that we are all accountable. We are, period. However you
Exactly.
look at it, whether it's through money, through action, through resources, whatever it is, we are
We are
all
all
accountable.
accountable. Education is inclusive, not exclusive. Okay. And that's
Mhm.
the main thing. Like you said, we are all accountable. And that's what we're going to roll with, you know. And as we are being accountable, we need you to help all them legislators.
That's why I'm here teaching special ed to be inclusive.
Hmm.
Everyone learns at a different pace and level. So
Hmm.
I'm here to ensure that whatever is being taught, that the student is not left behind, and that their mandates are met in their IESP. So
Yeah. And I'm the one that I know folks call it weird because we all learn differently. I'm the one that's like, everyone needs an IEP. And I think that if everyone had an IEP, some would be shorter than longer than others. It would destigmatize the ones that need a longer, more in-depth IEP. And also, all education should be special.
Well,
All of it.
something,
Because
but
we all learn different.
you
Hmm.
know something, Jackie? That is something that we should really lift up at our conference. I
Hmm.
agree with that. That every student should have a IEP. When you think about it,
Hmm.
because everybody's different. That's something we could basically add a piece into our legislative conference as to something that we will, eventually lift that up. I think that
I've
I think
always
that
said
is
that.
well,
Yeah.
that's
And,
well.
and and I'm in the private school, so in private and parochial school is a IESP. And so I'm seeing the challenges here that has to be met in terms of meeting the mandates, and because they're not set up or
Mm-hmm.
equipped to really deal. I'm dealing with people. I'm in Bed-Stuy
Mm-hmm.
in the school. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
The tuition is $40,000 a year
Mm-hmm.
in Bedford-Stuyvesant, but they're able to tap in to DOE money.
You
I'm
see
not
that?
even paid through them. I'm paid through DOE.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's not fair. That to me is not
Listen,
fair.
listen, Lord, they don't want them to hear me, but yeah, we gotta talk about this.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
It's not fair.
And, and,
Like
and, and it's not, if you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
90%,
not us. Not us.
90%.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You guys should see this school. Oh, and in the heart of that stuff.
Wow. I believe it.
I'm blown on every time I walk up in here and I look around and I think about our kids. But when I walk out the door, go right around the corner, it's a public school. They
Mm-hmm.
don't see what they see.
Mm-hmm. And don't have what they have. And
Boom.
they can have. And see, that's the
Mm.
whole thing that will always keep me motivated. Okay, because they can have. Okay, like we always say, and you heard Doc, my Dukes, closed mouths don't get fed. Okay.
People, I'm telling you, it is every day I come up in here, I pray and I just shake my head. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ladies, I'm gonna get back to work.
All
That's
right. So
all we
you
can do.
have you don't need me to send you anything. We'll have something. What time tomorrow is good? Let me see. Liability. Blah, blah, blah. I'm available in the morning around 9.
Yeah, but I'm in the office tomorrow,
Are you
so
in the office tomorrow?
yeah,
All
I'm in the
right.
office on Thursday and Friday. But later in the afternoon, let me know because, like I said, I'm working on this. So I'll be able to show you and Monique something tomorrow. In terms of the action plans, the
When you
proposed
say
action.
later in the afternoon, like 4,
I get off around
but
4.
they having something for you remember Terry Cadet. They having something at the Glen Terrace.
They're having a
Um
memorial for her.
it's not a memorial, but it's like a where's my flyer? I have my flyer. It's an event and they having the students do performances in her memory and stuff.
Well, that's a memorial to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
guess
know.
you could say that. Yeah,
Oh boy, that's so sad.
yeah.
Such a nice woman.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah. In honor Mill Basin Civic Association Student Achievement Award evening in honor of our beloved Terry Cadet Donald. So
Now
that
who's
I'll be
that? Who's that?
Terry Cadet Donald is somebody from my community who used to be a parent leader in the DOE with Lorraine. So it's a small world. She's from my neighborhood. I know her. And then she used to be on the board. She was the chair of the youth committee for the community board 18 over here. And when we presented one night, we were like, wait a minute, these names sound familiar. And we put two and two together and realized that Terry and Lorraine used to be on CPAC at the same time,
Yeah.
around the same time. Yeah. I can't
Oh,
hear you, Lorraine.
so she transitioned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terry
yeah.
Terry Cadet was very committed, never had a problem with her. Always, proactive like us. If she was alive, she'd be right here with us.
Mm.
Yep. So, yeah. All right, ladies. So let me know anytime before, like around 4 or 5 tomorrow is good for me, Lorraine. I don't know. Monique, what about you?
Just let me know.
If you're not feeling well, you don't have to worry about because I'm just putting together, some action plans. So if if
Okay.
you can, fine. If not, I'll fill you in. I
Well,
can
we
call you.
text. Well, Rosie emailed me already. Woo! She emailed me already regarding November 20th.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and you see, your girl didn't say nothing. And anyway, it is what it
Which
is.
one?
Rosa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Stacey Bell's just coming on. Don't let her in, please.
You know her?
That's Stacey, yes. She used to be on my president's council, first vice.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just let her know it's over. Thanks
Tell
for
her we're
coming. And it's over. All right, lady.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Everybody already prayed us out?
Yeah, uh-huh. It
Okay.
wasn't a prayer, just a closing word. Hi,
Okay.
Stacy. We're done. We were just chit-chatting, and I let you in to say thank you for coming. But the meet, it went from 9:30 to 11. Everybody left already. Stacy, can you hear me? You're on mute if you're talking.
I'm gonna leave. Y'all enjoy the rest of your
All
day.
right.
All right,
You
you
too.
too.
God bless.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Thank you. Stacy, can you hear
Okay,
me?
bye, Miss Susan.
How you doing? I know you can't see me, but I'm waving. You on mute. You on mute. All right. I'm signing
I
off.
had a happy
Oh,
belated Mother's Day, ladies. I had a doctor's appointment, so
all
I was
right.
um,
Okay, thanks so much. We
okay.
yeah, we're done. Thanks